Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. It is Wednesday, July 31st, and it's 9:05, and we're here for consideration and decision for final adoption of Herrick Park Agreement. Commissioner Dose is here via telephone, so I'll turn it over to our roads department.
Okay, well, I'm sure you remember back in early June, we met and we discussed, and you guys signed the amended license agreement to use real property for Herrick Park, and that is at Big Creek. In regards to the ramp that we have been utilizing or would like to utilize to draw water with our water truck. And where we landed on that one was it did give two options. So, and I guess just to kind of remind everybody, because it's been a little while, our right-of-way width is 200 feet there. So center line out each way is 100 feet. And so the ramp lies within our right-of-way. However, for us to access the ramp, we would need to turn the trucks around, and we don't have the room in our right-of-way to do that. So we, had been doing that, or maybe we've done it once or twice. So it's seldom utilized, but we do in the future anticipate the need for water draw at that location. So we would like, this just inks that in and allows us to do it. However, when we amended the license agreement, there are two options on the table, and what I am asking today is for the board to make a decision with my recommendation on which option we're going to choose. Because at this time, the first option allows us to continue using the ramp, which would, the Old Brothers would purchase the gate. So then there would need to be a gate installed there, so that the public is not accessing the private property off of our ramp on our right of way, which has been a problem in the past, trespassing, littering, things like that, safety liability issues, everything that comes with that. So the gate would be installed at the expense of the Old Brothers. Signage would be installed at the expense of the county, at the expense of us. The maintenance of the signage would be at the expense of the county, and the maintenance of keeping that gate locked. So if the lock was cut or damaged or something like that, it's our responsibility to make sure that gate is locked. So that would be something we would have to check on pretty much on a daily basis and replace immediately, any damaged or missing locks, any signage. And so option two allows us, we've got some concerns with the ramp. And just to remind you of some of the concerns of using the ramp, it is very, very steep. And our current supervisor at the time, and I fully support him and agree with him, does not feel like it is the safest alternative, the safest route to bring our trucks down. We see safety issues, we see costs of maintenance, damage to the vehicles.
The road's narrow. It goes by a big rock cliff.
And Dave, I'm showing Jeff some of the photos that I showed at the last meeting of the ramp. So this just shows kind of the grade of the ramp. This shows the narrowness of the ramp. This is a full-size pickup with a plow on there, and you can see that that's pretty much all that can handle. Just a wider view of the ramp and surrounding areas, and then just to kind of show with a pickup on there, how steep that grade is. At the bottom of the ramp, you can see in this photo is the stake, and then there is the pin right there, the property pin. So this is a close-up where you can see here this way is, I've got it upside down, yeah, here this way would be the area that we would be utilizing, and you can see we've got, the rock back there in the landscape, and so it is narrow for us to draw there on our property. So you can see why we would have the need to have this agreement with Buell Brothers to access onto their property. And then this is just a wider view, of that. And so Buell Brothers has graciously offered us a second option to use, which would be a little, it reduces the risk of safety, it reduces the risk of damage to our equipment, it eliminates the need for signage or gates. And so on that, you can kind of see on this map here, you would enter down and then follow this access route, and we would enter and draw off the east side, which is significantly flatter going in there. And so this is a photo of how flat and in good shape that road we would be utilizing. This is just a picture with that same standard pickup on there, just for reference. And then just a couple other photos of what that looks like.
Completely flat on that other
Yeah, I
side.
see
It's
that.
already got a circle driveway.
Yep.
The truck can go right down, draw off the driver's side, and drive right back out. Instead of turning around a 15-point turn on the other side with a load of water.
And
To get back up your
steep
ramp.
right there.
So it's steep.
And
Now what about
oh, did we lose him?
yeah, we lost him. What about foot traffic?
Oh, we lost him because he's here.
Oh, okay. Joe's just showed up personally, so we'll end the phone call.
Thank you. I followed you right up till I stepped in the door.
Okay.
We're on option 2.
Yes. So if we utilize option 2, which is the east side approach, then as per the agreement, we would obliterate the ramp which lies in our right of way, which would remove vehicular access down to essentially Buell Brothers property. So we're not, that would be something that Buell Brothers would supply the equipment. Brad, as our employee, would operate the equipment, and it would take him a short amount of time, an hour and a half to take care of that.
Now what about public foot traffic?
Public foot traffic,
There is trails off from the bridge that go right down to the little section that's county.
Okay,
So,
so that doesn't eliminate public foot traffic.
no, they can walk down in there.
Okay, all right.
It just eliminates the vehicles.
Yes, I
The
understand.
coming
campers,
down
the
there,
boat
camping,
trailers,
launching.
Yes.
So the previous access route, commissioners, if you'll just entertain a point of inquiry. I recall that one of the earliest meetings regarding this matter, the BOCC heard significant input from the community regarding their desire to ensure that they maintained access. The current access route, which would be on the east side, correct? The one that we're going to block off,
The ramp is on the west
The
side.
west side.
Yes.
So the ramp that's on the west side that would be blocked off. Has there been a discussion for what you propose that access route looking like for pedestrian traffic, foot traffic, after you entertain changing your draw location to the opposite side?
So we've talked a little bit about that. Really, this agreement just addresses us putting it back to, the slope back to its original condition. As far as foot traffic, I would leave that decision to the board because I don't feel that that's really my department's decision to make, being Public Works.
But we've talked about that.
But
right?
we have talked about that.
it. Is there a way that we can do that?
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's our right of way. I mean, at the end of the day, right now, the only thing, there are foot trails that go down that are not the ramp. that come off a little bit closer to the bridge, which, I mean, you can tell they're actively used because they're tramped down pretty good. So that access would stay the same. As far as putting in a foot trail, I mean, at the end of the day, it is our right of way. You know, we have 100 feet from center line out towards that side of the property that we could do that. I do know that a foot trail, in discussions with Buell's Camp, they are worried about because that side is steep, because it is rockier than the other side, they are worried about liability issues. So I think that would be something for the board to think about, if you give our department direction to put a foot trail within a right of way. But again, just reiterating that, you know, our right of way is not changing. This in no way changes the width of our right of way. So I would leave that to the board for your direction on that.
And we would take the liability anyway if it's our right of way.
I mean, it's our right of way. I don't know legally, Ben, not to put you on the spot or just to get a, yeah.
When they destroy the ramp, is it possible to just leave 2 feet of it for foot traffic
We can put foot trail on the outside of it, yes.
and just destroy it so you can't get a vehicle?
Just where they can't get the 4-wheelers, the side-by-sides down in there.
Yep.
I think that was the goal, was to eliminate vehicular traffic.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
been
that
the
is,
significant issue.
And you can put 2 rocks or something there so that
So they can't get
they
anything by
anything
it.
by it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're cheering, so.
Comment?
There's 2 issues here.
Can you state your name and
Tim, excuse me, we are on the record, Ben? Okay.
Yes.
I'm Tim Mueller and I represent Jack Buell.
Okay.
This is Steve Circle, Jack Buell's engineer.
Okay.
Susan Weeks has prepared, Susan Weeks, Jack's attorney, couldn't be here today. And so she's prepared some remarks that Steve will read to you for the record.
Okay.
So there's 2 issues here, commissioners, and has been. First of all, the ramp has only been there for 3 years. It's not like this was an established use of 10, 20, 30 years. Okay, heretofore, the traffic came from the east side. You have a 100-foot right-of-way there that joins Jack Buell's property on the east side of the creek. The foot traffic on the level ground came all the way down to the creek from the east side. 3 years ago, the county employees, without Public Works consent, without the direction of the commissioners, the employees, Brad's predecessors, that came before him, built a ramp down there to get water. They didn't consult Mr. Buell and they didn't consult Wallace. The county spent $5,000 hard money building that ramp. It created an enormous influx of trespassing on Mr. Buell's property. The public testimony on that is voluminous. We have talked to the prior commissioners and to you fellows about the trespassing being a problem for us. Continues to be a problem, not only liability-wise, but the trash and the human waste, quite frankly, and all those things that go with a great influx of traffic, okay? Most of them out-of-towners, weekenders. The other issue for the county is the water. First of all, the county does not have a permit to draw water. That's been established through testimony by Mr. Buell's attorney, but you do anyway. That's another issue that you're going to have to deal with, okay? You don't have a permit to draw water from Big Creek, and I would suggest that if you do that, that you try to get a permit from the Idaho Water Resource Board. To put a truck down there on that ramp, as Brad has told you, would be very dangerous. We have offered an alternative, which is the east side of the creek, which is flat, no grade, at grade right to the creek. And as Brad has said here today, we've done that in exchange for obliterating that road so that we don't have a trespassing problem on the west side of the creek into Mr. Buell's property. Allowing a footpath down there is not going to solve that problem for us. It's only going to exacerbate it, because people will be coming in there with coolers on their shoulders, carrying children, hauling rafts and inner tubes on their back down a very steep grade on a narrow rocky path to get to the creek. Inevitably, once they get to the creek, if they step to the right 5 feet, they're going to be on Jack Buell's property. And we're going to have a significant trespassing problem and mess just like we have now. So we have been opposed to having any kind of access on the west side of the creek and restore that road prism to what it was 3 years ago, which was no access, and divert the traffic to the other side. Flat ground, it's not dangerous. It's still a liability to Mr. Buell. We still have trespassing problems, but it will obviate the chronic trespassing that we have now with access from both sides. The county owns over 1,000 feet of that creek. Steve has a map to show you that was dedicated in the original plat back in 1965 to the homeowners of Herrick Park. They did not form an HOA, therefore, or collect dues from the HOA, therefore they didn't pay taxes on that park, meaning the creek. So it reverted through the tax records to the county. You now own Herrick Park. That includes the creek and a strip of land from the bridge that we're talking about where the ramp is, all the way east up Big Creek to over 1,000 feet. It's flat, it's level, you can swim there, you can draw water there, but we keep overlooking that because the county's not developed that, but it's your land to develop. It's no different than if you had a park here in Wallace, a piece of ground that was given to you that people wanted to develop into a park. That's where we should be looking for the public to gain access, is on that 1,000 feet, where it was intended by the original plat to be in the first place, for the people to swim and have access. So for us to allow the county to come in from the east side with their water trucks and still have a built pedigree footpath on the west side, allowing people to carry things and go down there, is just not something that Mr. Buell wants to do. And I discussed it with him twice last night to make sure that I understood what it is he wants. All we've said is, please help us with the trespassing problem. That was created by the county when you built the ramp 3 years ago. That's all we've said. And know that anybody that comes in now down your ramp from the west side can move to the other side of the creek on a public road owned by the county and have 100-foot right of way to come to the very same spot on the creek that they're accessing from the west side. Very same spot, just on one side of the creek or the other. So, commissioners, have a lot of passion about this, but we seem to get, mired down on the issue of the public having access to Big Creek. You've got 1,000-foot park for them to access the very same area that you're trying to build a footpath in from Mr. Buell's side to access the creek. So Steve is going to show you some maps and read to you what Susan Weeks, Jack's attorney, would like to put on the record.
So what I first want to share with you is this is the recorded plat back in 1965. And in the language here, it specifies that this is the park that was generated through the platting of this. Here's Jack Buell's property on lot 1, and he was one of the first purchases in this plat in 1965 was when he purchased. So knowing that this is, and as Tim had stated over the years, this has been received into the county as because the taxes weren't paid on it as your county park. Plus you've got a deeded 60 feet of right of way here for parking for the general public to come in and access the creek. So when we did our survey tie down, the red line represents the current ramp as it is today as we've surveyed it. The green line represents the toe of the slope. That's the bottom of it. And so by eliminating this ramp entirely, it makes logical sense to connect the green lines and come straight across. But when I look at and I think about liability and pedestrian access and parking, it makes a lot more sense to have the traffic and the public on this side accessing the creek at the same location. Or as we were talking about, now on a county water truck standpoint, you can come straight through here and then access that and fill. So it's a win-win. But we really want to eliminate the pedestrian access on this side, the west side of the creek, as you can see why. I mean, the vertical and the
It's
trespass
dangerous.
that we've
It's
had and the
dangerous.
dangers that we've had over the years. That make sense? Any
Yeah.
question?
So Park Drive, this is all, what's this, Brad, what is this?
That's county ground. Borders the creek.
Just woods right now?
No, it's
It's
just grass.
Just grass and river rock.
It's accessible. This is the access road for these parcels here.
Is the public even using that?
No. They'll just dive off right at the bridge and
Right.
go down the west hole.
But if
As I went to town last Friday morning, I had to run in and there was 6 vehicles down in the hole, sitting on Buell's ground. So,
and that's just a
Now,
lot.
Where's
where
this
does the, this is the, okay, this is the creek right, where's the creek at here?
The creek is in the middle. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. The creek does this, comes right through here. So as you can see, where lot 1 is here,
Mm-hmm.
that's lot 1 there. It was originally platted. So the creek comes right through here, as you can see right here. We haven't tied the bank, the edge of the water on this side, but we certainly did on this side.
Jeff, this is the creek starting here, the park. Okay, that was dedicated on the plat and flows all the way down. See Park Drive? That's a dedicated road. These people have taken over that road, but nonetheless, and the creek flows all the way down here and under the bridge and out to the St. Joe River. So everything, this is 100-foot right of way that you can access from this side, which we're trying to close. You can access on this 100-foot right of way right here, including jogging into Jack's property. Your right of way goes right through there and right down to the creek. That's prior use and been that way for 50, 60, 70 years.
Now is that public use or not?
Yes, that's
That's
public use.
This is public use.
Yeah, it's your right of way.
it's all right away.
And see the fence, Jack's niece wanted to lease this from Jack, and he let her, and she fenced this right here and fenced this off here. And the neighbors complained, and Jack, being the guy he is, instructed her to take the fences down and the gate and pulled it all out of there. Okay, so these people here would have access to the creek, to their swimming hole. But that wasn't the intent of the plat. The intent was to make this the park. To have all this developed by the HOA down to the river. You still have that. That's all flat. All the way down here. This is all flat. Coming in from this side is at least a 70-80% slope. And Jeff, we don't want people walking down that carrying coolers and children and boats and stuff, because as soon as they hit the bottom, they're on Jack's property. That's what we're asking the commissioners to help us with. Is just close the west side and return the whole area back to normal. Then I would really implore the commissioners to consider developing this into a park, which was the original intent, so that the people could use this 1,000-foot of Big Creek here to swim in. You still have this side that they can come in on the right of way. And I won't go into it now, but you've got real problems over there with that right of way too. It's gonna have to be solved someday. Yeah. Meaning that this access road is built on your land, and these landowners here have fenced out their property lines and taken over the dedicated right of way as part of their land.
It's
And the road-
shown
and
here.
they've pushed the road this way onto your property. You're gonna have to do a land exchange with them to keep the road where it is now, which is onto your property. But they're trespassing on county property here and fencing it, which is something you don't want. But that's a whole other subject. That's it, and that's gonna be a difficult one.
Let me run a scenario by everybody. So let's say, for discussion purposes, that ramp didn't exist today. And the proposal was to put it in to access the water, to fill the water truck. With what we know now, it's already there. And what we know is accessible for many other locations to draw water. Would you consider approving $5,000 to build that ramp? Because of the safety issues. So we're wanting to fix what should have been presented to the commission 4 years ago.
It was my understanding that this road has been there through the roads department, that the road was there quite a long time, right?
No,
Is
that
what-
ramp went in,
No.
approximately 3 years ago.
About 3 years ago.
3 to 4 years ago.
I watched him build it,
Mr.
Jeff.
Kaysen- Okay, Mr. Kaysen, I thought he said it was in prior to that. No,
No, it went in sometime under his
okay.
time as director.
But if I might interject, Jim did not know that his crew
That
did
is-
this
that
until
is
after
correct.
it was done.
This was not
So to
something that
defend-
was approved and sanctioned, to
Yeah.
my understanding. From what I am told, I've not seen anything written or, stating that, but it's my understanding that, it went in without any approval from this.
And when it did, Commissioner Mike Fitzgerald, the chairman at that time, wanted to know why, and the local folks that worked at the shop there that built the road said, well, we needed access for water. And I can tell you who did it. I know the crew guy, but I won't, that's irrelevant. And so he said, how much did that cost? And they went back, the machinery and the low boys and the cost, and Mike Fitzgerald said, in this room, it's on the record that cost us $5,000 hard money, and if we had it to do over again, we wouldn't do that. So that's all we're asking, is that we return it back to its pre-36 month ago state.
Okay.
And I don't know how county budgets work, but I imagine they're skinny at times. But I would really like to get a group of people together and try to get the county to find some grants or some money and develop that park for the people.
Yeah, well, you need to get with me. We should go walk this and look at it, see what we can do to access.
Oh, for
To get
water
it.
truck?
No, for a park, for people, or a place to go. That's what the whole issue is, just, it's a swimming hole. They can build a swimming hole, I guess, anywhere. All they did there is built a rock deal across the creek and made a little pond.
Yeah, they did.
It washes out every year, they rebuild it. If we can access this and make a nice little parking area, you can put a lot of cars in there.
That Ben, and that 1,000 foot, if you developed it with a guy like his knowledge and did some good engineering on it, you could build waterfalls every couple hundred feet in that 1,000 feet, and you'd have a dozen beautiful 8-foot deep swimming holes there with a sandy beach.
Mr. Chairman, are you entertaining motions?
What would you like to, would you like to make a decision on this today?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm gonna motion we go with option 2, remove the ramp go back to using the other side that we've been offered for our water trucks. And then we can explore this idea, perhaps with some grant funds to open up some public access.
Okay. I would agree. I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and
Thanks, guys.
get busy on it. See if
We'll
we
get
can
going
get
as soon
this
as possible.
going on the park.
Yeah, I think we should look into it.
Yeah, I think that would,
Already own the land, so go ahead.
that would answer some people's concerns and serve the public.
Okay.
All right. You adjourn me?
Meeting's adjourned. Yeah, I forget.